What's up everyone, I hope you're all having a great day. Today we're talking about the MX Master series from Logitech. So we're going to talk about both the mouse and their keyboards and kind of do a bit of a review on them and also explain why I think that they're the best productivity tools or like keyboard and mouse combination. And if you guys are interested in just one of these two items, you can just skip ahead in the video. I'll leave timestamps so it's a bit easier. I also left links in the description below, so if you guys want to pick up one of these items, the links are down there. So let's start with the MX keys, their keyboard. So we have 4 versions for this keyboard. We have the low profile, which comes in 2 different versions. So the compact size coming in at about $100 and the full size model, which is about $120. And then they recently added mechanical keyboards to this lineup. So you have once again the compact at $150 and then the full size at $170, and they both come with a few different choices of switches. So you have 3 different choices, and regardless of the model that you pick up, in the box you'll have a USB to USB-C cable so you can charge up your keyboard, as well as a small USB adapter if your device doesn't have Bluetooth. So the one that I personally like to use is the low profile and the full size model. However, if you're not going to be using this numpad, I would recommend that you pick up the smaller model because that'll allow you to have your hands a bit closer together and it'll be a bit more comfortable. So let's start with the design of this keyboard. So it's a pretty simple looking keyboard, kind of minimal, clean, which is why I love it personally. Well, part of why I love it actually. And you see you have a nice little logo at the top center, and as well as a light at the upper right corner. This light will be the indicator for your battery, so if your battery is full, it'll be green, and if it gets low, it'll blink red. You'll also notice that on the lower profile models, the keys have a bit of a rounded kind of indent, which is supposed to help you type. So the overall keyboard is pretty thin, but it feels still really solid. It comes in at 810 grams, which is not light. It does feel like a premium product, as you would expect with its price. And the angle I find is perfect. It's super comfortable even if you're typing for hours and hours. The sound is also quite nice, I find, for a low profile keyboard like this. It of course doesn't sound like a mechanical keyboard, but now they do sell mechanical keyboards. So if you're looking for a bit more sound, go check it out. And you have 2 kind of models for these once you've chosen whether you want a low profile, a mechanical, and what size you want. They also have an option that's only for Macs and an option that works for both Macs and Windows. So if, like me, you choose the model that works both for Macs as well as for Windows computers, you'll see that you have a few keys that do 2 different functions depending on the OS that you're using. So we have an Option and Start button right there, Command Alt again, and Option and Control. It might be a bit weird at the beginning, but you'll see that you get used to it super rapidly. It's pretty intuitive, I would say, and it works really well. At the top of the keyboard, you have 3 keys to switch between different devices. So you could have up to 3 devices connected to this keyboard, which I believe is the main reason why people are picking this keyboard up. So you could have, let's say, your iPad, let's say you use 2 computers, like maybe you use, like me, a laptop for work and a computer for your personal stuff. You could have them all synced up to your keyboard that way, and you just click on whatever one you want to use. And all of the functions key at the top can also be remapped. If you want to, let's say, have a certain button that opens an application that you're using a lot, you could do that if you want to. So this keyboard has a backlighting system, so when you get close to it, when you approach the keyboard, it will light up, and when you're typing as well. And once you're done, after a few seconds, it will turn all the lights off. If your battery is too low, it will also turn the lights off. And the battery life is actually surprisingly good. So if you have the backlights turned completely off, it will last about 5 months. And if they are on, it will last about 10 days. So like other things in life, if you want it to last longer, just turn the lights off. Now let's talk about the mouse, the MX Master 3. They came up with a new version recently, which is the 3S. I don't have that one, I have the older regular Master 3. Pretty much the only difference that you'll notice if you use both of them is that the new 3S is significantly less noisy. The Master 3 was not a noisy mouse at the beginning, but it's now, like, it doesn't make any sound. It's also more precise, but I found that the Master 3 is incredibly precise, so I doubt that you're going to be noticing that. And yeah, so the 3S, the new one, comes at $100, and the Master 3, which is the one that I have, the bit of an older model, is about $80, 80, 83, something. And just like the keyboard, in the box you get a USB adapter as well as a USB to USB-C cable to charge up the mouse. So once again, they have a lighter and a darker color. I of course went with the darker color, but they still have nice silver accents on the mouse to make it look better. It's super comfortable. Your hand fits perfectly on it. I think that the ergonomy was really the priority of this mouse because it's incredibly comfortable. And I would even say that even if you're not using any of the features on this mouse, you could pick it up just because of how comfortable it is. I think it's still worth it. So you have a thumb support so that your thumb isn't rubbing on your mouse pad all the time, which can be a bit irritating. And that thumb support also has a button, which we'll talk about later. Like I said, it is an incredibly precise mouse. It works on any surfaces, even on glass. And it doesn't have to be like stained glass or anything. You can literally use this mouse on your window and it'll understand what you're doing. And you'll see that the response is insanely quick. I never had any issue with it. It's been absolutely great. At the top, you have your normal right and left click buttons. They're regular. And in the center, you have a toggle kind of button. The toggle is basically if your scroll wheel is in a free spin mode or in a clicky mode, I guess. And it's a magnetic scroll wheel, which is, it's a bit hard to explain exactly how it feels. It feels a bit like a regular scroll wheel, but you have kind of a bit more feedback, I would say, and it makes absolutely no noise. It's a really cool scroll wheel. It's a bit hard to explain, but if you ever use it, you'll see it's absolutely great. And if you just give it a solid spin, it'll spin freely until you stop it. You could spin through hundreds of pages if your computer allows you to do so. And as soon as you stop it, it'll stop. It's incredibly precise. On the side, you have a side-scrolling wheel, which at first I thought I was going to use only for my pro apps that were using something like this. So something like Premiere Pro, I can use the side-scrolling wheel to scroll through my timeline. If I'm using Photoshop or Illustrator or whatever, you can scroll on the X-axis as well as the Y-axis with the main scroll wheel. But you can also use it if you're in a browser to switch between tabs, which is really nice. And if you remap it in something like Photoshop, you could use this side-scrolling wheel to change the size of your brush or something like this. So it's super powerful, and I've been using it a lot more than I thought I was going to be using it in the beginning. And then the thumb button, which I just mentioned. So this is a gesture button, so it's meant to be used in a way that you click the button and then you do some kind of gesture, so something like moving left or right. And on my Mac, this is used to move through my different windows. So it's once again super useful. If I move upwards, I can have the mission control. You see all the apps that I use. And this, like every single button on this mouse, can also be customized to do different things if you wanted to. Now let's talk about the battery. The battery is another impressive part of this mouse. It lasts about 70 days. And Logitech says that if it's completely dead, you can plug it in for only a minute and it should then last you 3 hours, which is super impressive. But it's not like other mouses from, let's say, Apple, where you have to charge it from underneath. You just charge it through the front. So it means that you can still use it if you're charging it. Who would have thought this would be a nice feature, right? Now, I mentioned that you can do a lot of customization both on the mouse and the keyboard. And now you might be wondering, how do you do that? Well, it's through their app called Logitech Options. So you'll want to download this app and then you can start to customize every single button on both of these two devices. So whether you want to be maybe changing what the gestures do on your mouse, or if you want to change the different function keys at the top of your keyboard, maybe you just want to change the devices or see the devices that are connected to your keyboard or mouse, everything will be done through the app Logitech Option once again. And another cool thing about these two devices is that when they're paired together, you can use them on 3 different devices, like I said. But they'll kind of, so when I talked about what was in the box, both of them came with a USB adapter, and you can actually use only one of the so when I talked about what came in the box, I said that they both came with USB adapters for Bluetooth in case your device doesn't have Bluetooth support. And you can actually use the same one for both of these devices. You just plug one of the two adapters and they'll link all together. If you want to see a bit more information on that, just go check on the website. It's pretty well explained. And another pretty insane feature is, let's say you have two computers connected to your keyboard and your mouse, and they're side by side. Your mouse can go from one computer to the other, and your keyboard will follow to something that they call flow. And it's really impressive. It works really, really well, and you can even copy documents from one computer to the other. This doesn't have to be within the same OS. So you could use two MacBooks if you wanted to, side by side, copy documents from one to the other, but even a Windows computer and a Mac if you want to. So this is really impressive and it works extremely well. There's of course a bit of lag to be expected, but it's nothing too bad. And another weird thing, if you're used to using like two monitors, it basically works in the same way. However, you'll see your mouse just stays on the other computer, which is a bit odd, but doesn't really matter that much, I think. It's still a really cool and impressive feature. I talked about both of these devices in a video I made about my desk setup. If you want to go check that out, well, go check it out. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day.